Hey guys, today's topic of the video is going to be about one of the most important topic regarding literature, which is the form of literature. In this video, we will be covering the definition of literature, the exact definition of literature according to Merriam-Webster, the characteristics of a literature, a piece of literature, and there will be forms of literature, for example poetry, drama, essays, prose fiction, and etc. But before starting, I will suggest you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get all my literature related videos. Also follow me on Instagram so that you can get all the literary updates from there. So let's start right from the introduction of literature. What is literature? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the body of written work produced in a particular language, country, or age. For example, French literature or Renaissance literature. So, French literature, for example, is produced in French language, in the language of French, in the language of France. And Renaissance literature is a particular literature in the age of in an age of a history when there was a rebirth of new ideas, of when the model for all the works, all the art, all the sciences was Greek or Roman. So these two things reflects the literature, the written form or the written body of something which is produced in that language, in French language, in English language, in Urdu language, in Turkish language, in Arabic language, in Spanish language, or it could be in 90s, the literature of 90s, the literature of jazz age, the literature of you can say America, of American language, etc. So literature is also writing in prose or verse, especially writings having excellent of forms or expression and expressing ideas of permanent or universal interest. That's what Merriam-Webster dictionary says. Alright, I have also covered a lecture on written and spoken discourse. You will find a link in the description below. In the video, I have described all the aspects of a written and spoken discourse, so that you can find the expression, the meaning of the second point from that video. I will be giving the link in the upper bottom, on the upper left side of the video. So literature can be written in several forms. It is written, we say it is written because written gives you a detailed expression, a detailed expression and ideas. When you are reading something, you are writing something, you provide every minor detail of your thought in this page, in this book. So writing is an excellent form of literature. Also in Anglo-Saxon and the age before that, English literature was used to they used to narrate it from one tongue to another tongue. So there was no indication of writing that time, but it happened. It is also called literature. Yeah. So moving towards the characteristics of literature, a literature is always a representative of a particular thought, culture, age, nation, or country, etc. So a literature of any country represents the thought of that country, the culture of that country, the age of that country, or the age of the characteristics of that age in which it is written, Literature written by Thomas Hardy represent the Victorian essence, the Victorian thought, the Victorian feelings, the Victorian history of England. A characteristic literature written by Charles Dickens represent the thoughts, the industrial, the outcomes of the Industrial Revolution. Literature written by Shakespeare represents the inner feeling, the innermost creative person of Shakespeare. So literature describes the thought, culture, age, nation and country of when it is written. Second is, it has always some artistic value. Literature should be some artistic value. There should be some figure of speech, some punctuations, something that is artistic. That's all. Literature may also be creative or imaginative. Yes, literature can be imaginative and creative. For example, of Wordsworth, of all the literature is written, there is imagination, the role of imagination and creativity in all those literatures. Literature is creativity and imagination beautifies literature. It is not the hard and fast rule to inculcate these two things in literature, but these two things beautify literature. These two things set something high on the definition of literature. So next is, literature is always honored by some author. Someone has written something, a piece of writing. Someone must be authoring it. It cannot happen all of a sudden or without any entity. It should be authored by someone. It is necessary and some author, some person must own it. Literature is a form of art. Yes, literature is a pure form of art, humanities. It can also be a body of work created by some researchers or scholars, like scientific literature, a scientific paper representing the outcomes of artificial intelligence, for example. It is an example of scientific literature. You can also call a printed material a form of literature. Yes, when someone has anything written on websites and when printed or written on website e-form or in hard form, it is literature. It is also literature. With changing times, we would have to diversify the meanings of literature. Literature, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, is the aggregate of a usually specified time of musical composition, like piano literature. Okay, literature is the aggregate of usually specified time of musical literature. When you are playing something, like there should, I think that literature is anything written in a form. We can interpret that piece of writing, that's literature. So it could be musical literature or anything, doesn't matter. So we will be moving towards the forms of literature. According to Lila Borges' book British Literature and American Literature, there are 4 forms of literature, and these are given as, according to this book, poetry, drama, essay, and last is prose fiction. We will be describing these 4 forms of literature in the coming videos. So let's start. Poetry. What is poetry? Poetry is the earliest known form of literature. For example, all legal or moral documents are used to write in verse form. So literature is a Poetry is the earliest form of literature. Anything which sounds musical is poetry. I call it poetry. It could be earliest. It is the earliest form. People in early ages used to sing something, and it was in the form of poetry, and it is also called literature. So a poetry cannot write. Legal documents cannot be written in poetry form. Poetry is the pure art of form of art. Poetry is the purest form of art. According to Merriam-Webster dictionary, poetry is the writing that formulates a concentrative imaginative awareness of experience in language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. So poetry is a form of writing. Poetry could be a form of writing. It could be a piece of listening, a piece of speech, which is created by imaginations. Imaginations play a very youthful role in creating the poetry. It could be, take example of Wordsworth. His poetry was rich in imagination. Take example, for example, of Anglo-Saxon era. That was Beowulf. That was an epic poems. You can see that there that was created by imaginations and creativity. So the poetry is also a form of also generated with creativity and imaginations. And and language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response. You can separate the poetry, a piece of poetry, from a piece of prose with the use of language. The language used in a piece of poetry can differentiate between both the prose and poetry. The poetry produce something musical inside you, whereas prose is something serious. It is not written in musical forms. So poetry creates an emotional response inside you through meanings, sounds, and rhythms, etc. So poetry is always written in the form of prose. Yes, poetry could be written in the form of prose. It has happened. There is a deep use of a figurative language like metaphor, similes, hyperbole, personification, and etc. There are millions of, I think, figurative language. I have made several videos on figurative language. You can go and check these in the links below given below. So figurative language beautifies an art of poetry. You know that. Poetry relies upon imagination and creativity. I have already discussed that. So there should be, where there is poetry, there is imagination and creativity. Simple. There is a use of particular language in poetry, which is called poetic diction. According to William Wordsworth, poetic diction is the use of language inside poetry. He says that in his lyrical ballads, he said that, I have also covered that video. You will find the link in the description below. William Wordsworth defines poetic diction. He says that poetic diction should be something of rural class, of rural environment, of the poetry should be written. According to William Wordsworth, poetry should be written in the language of common people. That's all. That the language of poetry should be understood by common people. There is a common mass which is occupying the land, and poetry should be satisfying them. Who else we are writing poetry for? There is a use of meter in poetry. Metrical language we use inside poetry. There are meters, rhymes, and they create rhythms. Poetry is also characterized by a use of dynamic, rhythmic speech, including rhyme or alliteration or assonance or consonance. So I have made the videos on all these terms. Rhythms are created with jumping and creating musical effect with rhymes, alliterations, and consonants and assonance, with vowel repetition of consonant sound, repetition of vowel sounds, and rhyming and occurring something again and again, and that creates a beat-like effect, like you are beating some drum. Next is drama. What is drama? According to Merriam-Webster dictionary, drama is a piece of literature in verse or prose intended to portray life or characters, or to tell a story, usually involving conflicts and emotions through actions, dialogues, and typically designed for theatrical performance. Yes, according to Merriam, it's a compact definition of a drama. Drama is written in both forms, in verse and prose. Shakespeare has written it is in verse form. Which is based on the life of common people, life on the characters of real life, you can say, and that is super realist and comic. It could be comic, realist, surrealist, anything, and it involves a type of graph, a type of plot setting, and that there should be a conflict, and every stage develops an emotional sense in you, and via actions and dialogues, which are typically designed for theatrical performances. There should be music should also be included in drama while you are filming drama, where to create a certain impact among audience. Second is earliest known form of drama were the classical drama like Greek or Roman. So there are great philosophers, Euripides and Sophocles. They are difficult names. So they have guardianed the Greek drama, and later in Rome, Seneca, his bloodshed dramas. So Shakespeare derived his imagination, his inspiration for Julius Caesar and other bloody dramas from Seneca. That blood dramas. Drama is a literature form which is still evolving. Drama is still evolving. That is a form of drama that was created, and it is evolving slowly. Dramas of 18th and 19th century are performed on stages consisting a mixture of poetry, drama, and music. Music and poetry creates an artistic and that artistic feeling led towards the emotions inside you. So William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, Ben Jonson, Samuel Beckett, George Bernard Shaw, D.H. Lawrence are some great names in the field of English drama. Next is essays. According to Merriam-Webster dictionary, essays is an analytic or interpretive literary composition, usually dealing with its subject from a limited or personal point of view. You can create poetry for someone, you can create drama for someone, you can create story to entertain someone, but you should write essay in order to feel people that what you think. There it should be dealing with a personal or limited point of view. Their essay is also is always a topic centered. Essay should always be about something, about some topic, your views about it, general views about it, and that conclusion. Virginia Woolf, T.S. Eliot, Nassim Nicholas, Aldous Huxley, George Orwell, Francis Bacon, Charles Lamb are the best essayists in literatures. Francis Bacon is regarded as father of English essays. During he was a companion of Queen Elizabeth I. Memoirs, blogs, epistles are some notable genres of essays. Essays are invented by MicheldeMontaigne. Some types of essays are expository, descriptive, narrative, and argumentative. They are types of essays. What is prose? Prose is according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, prose is a literary medium distinguished from poetry, especially by its greater regularity and variety of rhythm, and its closer correspondence to the pattern of everyday speech. So prose is written in simple language, not in metrical and that super rhythmical language like poetry. Prose is a form of literature which is not associated to some particular group of kind of literature. Prose is not poetry, prose is not drama. Yes, drama could be written in prose form, but prose contains everything. Prose contains essay, novellas, novels, short stories, drama, etc. But it is a complicated type of literature. Narrative fiction or narrative prose includes novels, short story, graphic novels. Whereas there are some clear distinction among novels, novellas, and short stories. Short stories are comprised of 3 to 4 pages, or a book, short book. Novellas is something bigger than that short story, and novel is not, you cannot finish a novel in one sitting. So novel is something grander than novella or short stories. Other form of literature there are also some other forms of literature that come under literature. These are philosophy, history, journalism, legal writings, scientific writings, graphic novels and comics books, and nowadays in modern era, film, video, soap opera, interactive fiction, electronic literature are also some advanced forms of literature. So with changing time, with changing ages, we will have to draw more borderlines to define literature. There will be more things added in literature in the times to come. Thanks for watching. I hope you like or dislike this video. Also comment in the comment box for further inquiry, and also subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Thank you.